Hey there, freaking awesome people. Winnie here from Mind Now, and welcome back to Inspirational Mind, where we break down channels, interview people to gain their perspective on how you can master your mind to gain that self-confidence and self-esteem, especially as an introvert. But hey, don't shy away if you're an extrovert because the world needs you. And today we have James Lau. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly.
Yeah, you did it perfect.
Yeah, thank you for being here, bro. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Bro, so yeah, let's just get right into it, man. How do you actually gain self-confidence and belief in yourself?
I think you gain self confidence and belief in yourself when you know exactly what you want in your life. And what I mean by that is when you know exactly what makes you happy, what success means to you, there's this glow when you meet people and they will help you to build really genuine relationships because you're super confident, because you know what exactly what you're about. And on a personal story, when I was, still in university, I had no clue what I wanted to do. About 6 months before I was graduating, and I would apply to a ton of jobs, and it was really hard for me to be present with the people I love. And when I meet, potential employers, it was hard. So, long story short, I went through the whole personal development space of finding your why and really going through the process. If you're familiar with Finding Your Why by Simon Sinek, really going through the process and figuring out what makes you happy, what does success look like to you, and what is your sort of that blueprint inside of your head, right? What does that look like for you? And once you find that, it's a total shift in how you view your life and how you view your future and graduation and everything. And since then, ever since knowing exactly what I wanted to do in my life, I was able to. There's this glow and just knowing, and you're so sure about what you want in your life, what makes you happy, and from that, you're able to build better relationships, and with better relationships, the job offers will come and things like that. So it makes no sense because, 6 months ago before graduation, I had no clue about what I wanted to do. I would apply to 20 jobs every single day and not hear back from a single person. There was one time where I heard back from a person for an interview, but they emailed me the next day saying that they emailed the wrong James. So it was pretty brutal. But yeah, so it's but now that I'm able to build this genuine relationship because I know exactly what I want to do in my life, you glow. There's this confidence. People can see that you're different, and from there, the job offers will come, the genuine relationships will come, and yeah, and I think that is really the definition of really true self confidence and knowing exactly what you're about. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think one of the things that you should figure out is what you want to actually do in life, right? And it takes time, and you gotta really enjoy the process while you're actually getting to know what you want to do in life, right? But we will get back to this topic because I know you're very passionate about this. But yeah, what I also associate with confidence is positivity and being energetic throughout your day. So my question to you is, what do you actually do to remain positive or get that positivity? And what do you do to be energetic?
For sure. I think staying positive all day, all the time, 24/7 is not realistic. I think the first step is knowing that it's not real. Because back, like, I think just like you, growing up, I've always been the happy kid, really optimistic, everything is good, right? Life is beautiful. But the thing is, you can't be 100%, happy and 100%, like just optimistic and energetic all the time, right? You have to allow yourself to understand that there are times that it fluctuates, right, throughout your day. But when you look at the average, you look at the day as a whole, it should be, mostly positive, mostly energetic. I think the first step is really focusing on that, having the day as an average, being positive. I think for me, what I do to answer the question of being energetic is, I think exercise is huge. Exercise and sleep is huge. I think that's contributed to a lot of how I'm able to manage my stress, my time a little better. So I try to work out about 2 to 3 times a week, whether it's hitting gym, playing basketball, things like that. Because for me personally, when I'm playing basketball, for that 1 to 2 hours, I get to leave all my problems outside of the court, right? I get to leave all the worries behind, and that sort of recharges you to carry on. the next week or the rest of the day. So I think that really helps me to stay positive and energetic. It's probably exercise and allowing yourself to know that you won't be at a high 24/7. Allowing yourself to know that a combination of the two. Yeah, I think that's how I.
And embracing everything, what is, what you're experiencing, what moods you have, whatever it is, you should embrace it and make the best out of it, right? And like you said, sleeping and exercising, I guess, like, what I've really underestimated, or a lot of people who are like kind of in the hustling mode, or entrepreneurship, whatever, they might like think that, oh, they have to hustle a lot, and then they don't sleep a lot. But then when you don't sleep a lot, then you're not that productive, right? so getting enough sleep is actually really, really crucial, because that actually then sets, for your day to be good, right? So yeah.
If you think about it, right? If you say you work really hard till like 5 a.m. and like, I've tried this before, right? When I'm like really motivated to start something, I will stay up till 5-6 a.m. to do it, and then I'll sleep, and then if I wake up at 10, I'll just be so tired that I'll have to take a nap anyway. So at the end of it all, when you add it all up, it's better if you just sleep that 7 to 8 hours and not do it the next day. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think the basic things, the fundamental things actually make us happy and like energetic and productive, right? Getting enough sleep and eating right and exercising and all of that. Now, what I would like to know is law of attraction. Have you heard of law of attraction? Like, whatever you focus on expands, and if you want to get something good in your life, you just have to feel as if you're already in that state, etc. Now, I'm not 100% believing in these things, but I'm not here to interview myself. So what is your take on law of attraction, bro?
I think there's strength in self-belief, picturing yourself in that situation. I think that helps you to, going back to staying positive and going back to staying motivated to do what you're doing. But I think at the end of it all, for me, what the law of attraction means to me is, the first thing is the belief, right? Putting yourself in that situation, picturing yourself that you actually can achieve it. So for me, on a personal level, I can see myself on the stage speaking to thousands and thousands of people, and I picture it. It's not a conscious thing. It's not like, oh, before I sleep every night, I need to think about it exactly how it feels. But it comes and goes. I do believe that I can achieve it. And I think that's very important, because if you think about it this way, right? If you don't think you can do it, you're already defeated before you even get started, correct? Right? So really believing that you can do it, and then putting your head down and working really, really hard and seeing what comes out of it, right? I think that is better, instead of just being defeated before even getting started. On top of that, though, for me, what law of attraction means is mostly, it all goes back to knowing what you're about, knowing what your purpose is, what your calling is. Because on top of that belief that you can do something, when you're sure about what you want to do, good things will happen. Whether it's a good relationship or opportunities or whatever it is, when you're sure about what you want to do and you know that it's streamlined towards your goals and what makes you happy, you're going to attract a lot of people who can see that, and you glow. And I can't explain it, but I'm living it, because it's just this past year that I know exactly what I wanted to do, what made me happy, and it's probably been the best year of my life in a while, right? And whether it's relationships or whatever it is, I think maybe that's the secret to the law of attraction, man. But yeah, I think it's just that belief that, believing that you can do what you set out to do, and also knowing exactly what you want and what you actually want. What does success look like to you? What makes you happy, not at anybody else? And once you have that too, and I think you're gonna attract way too many people. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. We're getting there, man. We're getting to that question for damn sure. How do you actually figure out what you want to do in life? But I actually want to save it, because I'm like really curious to hear all of that as well, because that's like one of the, I think your main kind of theme of your channel. That's what I see. Like you really want to help people figure out what they should do. But before we get to that question, yeah, I think like whatever you want to achieve in life, right? You need to have that self-discipline. Now, there are a lot of ways to kind of, have that self-discipline, but how do you go about that? How do you get that self-discipline?
I think for me is, so obviously you need to want it bad enough, I think. At the end of the day, you can't just depend on motivation, right? So I'm sure you've heard of the shiny object syndrome, right? I think you have to want it bad enough and actually really, really want it, because the motivation will die out in a week or two. So you set out to do something of your own. Just like you say, when you start your channel, if you don't really want to do it, you told me you started it for a year, right? You'll probably be done in a month. You know what I mean? So it has to, I think the first step is really knowing that you want it bad enough. And I think the discipline will sort of tie into it. But obviously there are things that you can do. For me personally, I keep like a daily journal thing, and I'm really traditional, so I use a physical book, so it's all like filled out. And but yeah, there's just this beauty of setting out what you're supposed to do in that day, and there's this satisfaction of just crossing it out at the end of the day. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? And also at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, kind of set out what you want to do the next day. So I posted notes all over my room, and also, things like that will help. But at the end of the day, if you don't want it bad enough, doesn't matter if you have the best looking journal, doesn't matter if you have 1,000 post-it notes in your room. If you don't want it bad enough, then you won't be motivated enough, you won't be disciplined enough. Motivation will get you started, discipline will get you going.
Oh damn, that is nice, man. Oh damn, I love these kind of like short quotes, but that just sticks, Yeah. Now, okay, you've already shown us like your kind of plans and goals, etc. So how do you actually set goals, and how do you go about that? How do you actually do your time management, etc.?
Yeah, for sure. So setting goals for me is very important. I think when I was growing up, it was always just, I'm sure everyone has New Year's resolutions, right? Setting goals back then was just like, oh, this year I want to do this. Okay, I want to do this too. But I think at the end of it, setting goals is a very structured process. Have you read Think and Grow Rich? Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure you have. You probably read way more books than me, but so what I took from that book is being really specific with your goals, like really, really specific. I think back then when I was younger, it was, say, one of my goals was be rich, right? Like how rich? What is rich, right? Right? If you have 100 grand a year, that's rich for someone else, right? But is that enough for you, right? So being really, really specific. I think that really helps in the goal setting, because then suddenly it's real, right? It's not just, oh, get rich. It's having this much in my bank account by this age or by this year. Then suddenly it's real, and and when it's real enough, you can sort of set steps to get there. Because when it's just like fluff, and when it's just in the air, like, oh, be rich, or oh, have a good job, then like, what good job? Like, you can't really set steps to get there if it's too general. So I think the first step is really getting specific. So read Think and Grow Rich. I think they have a really good blueprint, a plan to help you to really get specific with your goals, and also knowing that you deserve those goals, and knowing that you believe that you can achieve those goals. I think that, yeah, the book really changed my life. So
yeah, I think it's like, if you're like in self development field, it's kind of the go-to book, right? Think and Grow Rich. But it's like it is really a good book, like all of the books that are in the self-development field, they kind of resemble Think and Grow Rich, right? But yeah, man, you talked about like self-love, and you really gotta believe in yourself, and that you actually deserve it, right? And with talking about law of attraction again, when you don't accept yourself and you don't see yourself being in that state because you think that you don't deserve it, it won't be effective, right? You really gotta say that you are freaking awesome. That's why I always say to my people who watch my videos that you are freaking awesome. Like, everybody's freaking awesome because they're unique. And I actually had a bad experience in my past where I couldn't accept myself at all, man. Like my self-esteem level was like down to zero, man. It was like minus down. Like I'm actually quite glad that I overcome that, but because of those things, I became who I am today, right? And so going back to the topic again, believing in yourself is really important, and knowing that you deserve it. Nobody is perfect in this, world. There's yin and yang, if there's no bad, there's no good, right? So you just gotta accept it as a whole. But yeah, man. So yeah, you actually talked about having a couple of businesses before we started this interview. Now, starting a business, you kind of gotta be very persistent, right? You gotta know that you want it. Now, when do you actually know when to quit that business? Because starting a business is really hard, right? And you don't really know if it will work out or not, and it might take a lot of time until it does. But until then, when do you know that this business is really something that it does not work, or it says you require more patience? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think for me, so as you mentioned, I started a few businesses while I was in school before. The first business I ever started was actually a food business. So what my roommate and I did was, so we lived in the student sort of housing in school, and what we found is that people struggle to get affordable and wholesome meals at a cheap price. So what my roommate and I did, we were lucky enough to grow up knowing how to cook, like hashtag husband material. Anyway, but, but yeah, so we realized that, hey, there's an opportunity here. And I think I was really young at the time, and I didn't know what I really wanted in my life. So, but it was just, oh yeah, let's just start a business. So what we did was we did it, right? We started it. It went really, really well. And but after a while, the learning stopped. The learning stopped, and the motivation went away. And going back to knowing exactly what you want, it wasn't what I wanted. I don't see myself being a chef or owning a restaurant in the future. So I think for me, when we decided to pull the plug, it was going well. It's not like it was bad or anything. We decided to pull the plug when we both decided that the learning has stopped, and now it's just doing it for the sake of doing it. And I think there's no point in doing that. So I think the first thing is, before to anyone, any of your viewers who are thinking about starting a business or a side hustle, please take the time to know that that's what you want, right? If you're planning to start a business, right, take the time to really think what kind of business you want to start. Really think about it, because it's exciting, right, to start a business, but as soon as you go in, you're going to be burning through cash, and you're going to have questions, right? When things are slow, you're going to be asking yourself, is this really what I want to do? So I think for me, it's a combination of knowing that this is that specific business that you wanted to do, and when to pull the plug is when you stop learning from it. Because I think starting a business, there's beauty in taking ownership of something and being proud that this is my baby, right? This is something I can call my own. But I think when the learning stops, and when it feels like you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, and there's no greater purpose behind it, then pull the plug, because then there's no point. Doesn't matter if it's doing really, really well. There's no point, in my opinion. So that's when I will pull the plug. But for me now with Apologue, it's something that I know this is what I want, and it's backed with my purpose. It's backed with what success looks like to me. So I don't see myself pulling the plug anytime soon. And also, I think, don't have that mindset of, when can I pull the plug? Because then when things don't go right, and when things are not going well, which will happen when you start a business, the first thing you do is to pull the plug, right? So not having that quitters and that losers mindset. No, going back to picturing yourself that this business is gonna work, right? So being confident, being optimistic, but when the learning stops, then you pull the plug. That's how I would go about it.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with you on that. What I always say to myself, like with YouTube, I say, okay, if in 10 years I don't see like, let's say 100,000 subscribers or whatsoever, and I have maybe only 5,000 subscribers, will I still be doing this? And my answer is always a yes, because I just love making videos, and also with Instagram, because I'm also doing comedy and stuff on there, and that is actually my first passion whatsoever, because I always wanted to become an actor. And also the same with that. Will I still be doing this in 10 years if I have only, like I said, 1,000 followers? And my answer is always yes, because my goal, literally, of course, I want to impact a lot of people. But if I can change one person's life with my comedy or with my inspiration or whatever I'm doing, that is enough for me. I'm trying, like, everyone is born with their unique talents, and if I can turn that talent into value, that can help someone, that is enough for me. Now, I talk a lot about like mastering your mind and stuff like that, and people always say, and I also actually say this on my channel, on my videos at the outro, you can do it if you put your mind to it. And everyone is born with certain strengths. Now, my question is, can you actually achieve anything if you put your mind to it, or should you rather focus on your strengths?
I think it's a combination of both, right? I think it's obviously nice to think that if you put your mind to it, that's it. But putting your mind to it is one thing, right? That's that self-belief, knowing that you can do it, the confidence, the optimism. That's going to get you started, and that's going to put you in a better position to make it. I think that's very, very important. But you also see a lot of people with big goals and big dreams, but they don't do anything about it, right? They don't take action. So I think it's a balance, right? It's not you can't choose one over the other. I think it's a combination. Definitely, self-belief is huge, and yeah, playing to your strengths will get you somewhere, because it's your strength, right? It's something that you're good at, and how can you leverage that and align that with what you want to achieve? So I think it's good for that. But if it's something that that you are not that great at, I think it goes back to that belief, that knowing that you're not good, like being okay with knowing that you're not good at something, and I read this thing too, finding the who and not the how, right? Everyone has, as you mentioned, everyone has different strengths, and everyone has different weaknesses, right? Instead of trying to figure it out all by yourself, find someone else with the strength that you don't have, right? And build something around that. So I think definitely with that belief and that self-awareness that you know what you're good at and you know what you're not, right? And then get started with your strength, with that self-belief, and then when you come across a weakness or whatever it is, find someone else who can help you with that. I think it's a combination. I don't think that it's wise to just, if you know you're not that great at something, just put your mind to it and you can do it. I think there's a way around it, right? Leverage your strengths and find someone else with different strengths who will complement you, and then you guys can achieve the same sort of purpose together.
Yeah, definitely, man. So yeah, I think now we should actually talk about, what your strength is, man, is helping people find their passion, what they're supposed to do in life. So, okay, how do you actually go about that? How do you find what your purpose is, what your passion is, what you should do in life? Can you tell us the exact process, how you would go about that, bro?
Yeah, for sure. So just a little backstory, if you don't mind, just so the viewers know. So 6 months before I graduated, I was probably at one of the lowest points in my life, right? I had no clue about what I wanted to do after I graduated, and just like a lot of you, I've always been motivated. I've always been passionate, right? I will wake up every morning with so much passion and so much drive. Yeah, I want to do great things. I want to achieve great things, right? But then at the end of the day, nothing happens because I have nowhere to put it into, and I'll just feel like a complete failure, right? So if you think about it, it's like, what I like to say is you're flooring the gas in a car, but you're stuck on neutral, right? It's like, oh, there's so much passion, but the car doesn't move. So that's what I felt and for me, when I was so motivated and so passionate, I ended up making a lot of rash rash decisions. I would apply to any job that I saw, even jobs that I knew for a fact that I was gonna hate. I would apply for it because, well, it's doing something right. I got scammed by a pyramid scheme, MLMs, because, well, they just use your values against you. And yeah, and around the same time too, I lost a friend to depression. And yeah, and for once in my life, I understood, what it feels to be part of the stat. There's a real stat that says, 1 in 5 college students are depressed. It is a real stat. And I realized, like, wow, like, this is what it feels like. And I think one of the saddest things for me was, as I mentioned, right, growing up, I always knew I was meant for more. I always knew that I wanted more in my life. I just didn't know what. And for a moment, before I graduated, I really considered putting my dreams and those big dreams and goals of mine aside and just be like, oh, I'll just go get a job and just settle, like, really. And I think that's super sad, and it's really one of the worst times of my life, because just think about it. If you've known since you're a kid that you wanted great things in your life, and you come to this crossroads where, should I just give up everything and just settle, because it's less stressful that way, it's happier that way. So yeah, and it wasn't until I met a mentor who guided me through the whole personal development process. So I think the first step in finding your purpose, finding a calling in life is, well, to go through personal development. But then again, personal development, as you know, is huge, right? There's love, there's relationships, there's so many different genres. I think the first step is knowing exactly what you want to, what space of personal development that you want to develop, right? And so for finding your why and finding your purpose, there is a line. So there are books, like, for example, like, there's this book, right, Finding Your Why. Like, this book really changed my life, because I realized that, back then, personal development for me is just reading self-help books, and I feel really motivated, and then I'll close the book, and then everything stays the same. Nothing has happened, right? But this one, what this book does, it kind of forces you to do things, and really go through a process. It took me maybe a month of really sharing and opening up and going back to my childhood, little things that shaped who I am today, what makes me happy, what success looks like, the bad times in my life, what came out of that. And that was the first step in really identifying what my why was, what would make me happy. Yeah, it's that. And so for me, on a personal level, I found that I realized that I find a lot of purpose, and I find a lot of passion in entrepreneurship, in starting a business that I can call my own. I never had a dream sort of company that I wanted to work for. Never did. If you gave me a job at Google, Facebook, I'm okay. It's just never been a thing of mine. So yeah, I realized I found a lot of purpose in entrepreneurship. So for me, in the sense, how the structured process would be is to go to personal development, find your why. I think this book is great, and also there are tons of other books too, and really identifying what that blueprint of success looks like for you, because your definition is completely different from somebody else's. I watched this video the other day with Tony Robbins. He mentioned that in all our heads, there's this version of yourself that's what success looks like to you, right? When you're lying on the beach and you tell yourself, yes, I made it. There's this version of yourself in your head that, this is what I want. This will make me completely happy, and I don't want anything else other than that, right? And so this guy in my head, and this, like, James in my head, is going to be different from the person in your head, right? It's going to be completely different. And what will make you miserable, and what will be detrimental to your well-being, is if I based my version of success on somebody else's. That is the worst thing that you can do, I think, for your happiness and for your life. Yeah, I think it's a total waste. So I think first step, figuring out what happiness, what success looks like, what your blueprint, what the little person in your head really wants. And then it comes with where the goal setting will come, where, okay, now you can see, right? Now you can see what the end goal is. And a lot of people, they don't have that first step. They don't know, they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? And I'm not saying you need to know exactly what it is, but if you have a glimpse of it, at least now you know, okay, this is what I want. And then that's when the goal setting comes, right? Going back to being specific with things, right? And then A, B, C, right? Okay, I'm gonna do this, and then why, and then everything you do from that point on you will know there's a why behind it. And it's beautiful because you, even if you go get a full-time job after, right? I'm not shitting on full-time job, but you'll know exactly, like, okay, I'm in this full-time job because I want this skill, because this skill will get me to this step, and then this point will get me to this point. And then suddenly you're not stuck in the rat race anymore, because you know exactly why you do what you do, and there's beauty in that. So yeah, I think that's that. It's really setting the goals. And what I usually run with my students when I go through a workshop like this is not just setting goals, but also setting sort of outcomes, right? What will show that you're moving a bit closer towards your goal, towards that purpose. There's this thing called the Purpose and Filters toolkit that I share for free on my website. And what it is not just setting specific goals. It's showing what outcomes will show that you're reaching your greater purpose, your calling in life. And also you set a bunch of filters as well, because in our lives, especially when you're a student and when you're young, or you're going to have a lot of opportunities, a lot of decisions to make in your life, whether it's a full-time job, whether it's moving to a different country, whether it's whatever it is, starting a business, right? You're going to have a lot of decisions to make. And when you have a set of filters, and these filters will be based on what is important to you, you're able to know, okay, if an opportunity comes up, you're able to be like, oh, no, this is not aligned with my purpose. This is not aligned with what I want to do with my life. And then you can keep going forward. Because if you don't have something like that, when something is sort of like dangling in front of you, an opportunity, it's just how it is. We're humans. We're like, oh, maybe that's what I want too, right? So that I think the next step would be setting a bunch of filters to really filter out the opportunities that are not aligned with your purpose. Because if you don't have that, you will end up being enticed for something that won't be aligned with your purpose. And instead of going sort of streamlined or almost streamlined towards your end goal, you will sort of take little turns that are not really aligned with your purpose. So that's a process, a really high level overview. Obviously it takes time, but yeah, there's a high level overview of how I usually run things when I have my workshops with students on taking that first step in better identifying your why, your purpose in life. And at the end of the day, I think starting a business, you will find your purpose, because you will learn a lot about yourself, a lot about the world. And I think that's, for me at least, helping people find their purpose through entrepreneurship is how I'm doing it too, on top of all these goal setting and stuff like that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, first of all, for sharing this with me, and thank you for doing what you're doing, bro. You're helping tons of people to find their passion and purpose, and I think that is really, really important, and I think it's liberating and fulfilling for people, so they actually know why they're here on this earth. Right, we're here to live, obviously, but at the end of the day, we're here to do something. We're here to contribute in some way, right? And you are actually one of those people who help people to find that. And so thank you for doing that, bro. We really appreciate it. I'm talking, for my people who are watching, and I think they're thankful for that too, man. But yeah, you actually talked about shiny object syndrome. I'm going to admit I was also in that phase where, oh wow, what not like grabbing for everything, but when you don't really know what you want to do in life, you tend to do that, right? So I think that is kind of one of the indicators that you don't really have a purpose yet, if you jumping from one thing to the other. But on the other hand, it is kind of good, because you get to explore things and know, okay, this is not really what I want, this is not what I want. And I resonate with Gary Vaynerchuk's message here, where he says, try as many things as possible, and try like in a long period of time, as in like 10 years, right? I think we live in a society where they force us to know what we should do in life, right? We go to high school, graduate, then college right after, maybe 1 to 2 years. And 1 to 2 years is not long, right? People think that it is long, but actually it is not. To really figure out what you want to do in life, of course it depends on the individuals, right? Some people discover it faster than the others, but overall, I think people are just pressured into studying something, and then they regret it afterwards. And what really motivates me is, of course, having a why. Like you said, that is huge. But second is that I actually have it on my phone, and it says you could die at any time. I know it sounds very pessimistic, but it is a huge motivator to make the best out of every single moment that I have. You know, even if you have low self-esteem or low self-confidence, or whatever it is. Now, I'm not talking about mental illnesses. If it's like depression and stuff, of course, you have to go to, you know, a therapist and stuff like that. But if you are like healthy and you don't really know what to do in life, or like in my case, low self-esteem back then, and having this motivator of someday you may die, I think it liberates you because you make peace with death, knowing that someday you will die. It's inevitable, right? It is something that will happen. And so you kind of like change, at least that is for me, I kind of change the way I think about things and the way I approach things. And
No, I completely relate to that as well. Right? Just knowing the fact that I could die after this call, right? But knowing that if like, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind, right? Are you is it worth doing the things that you're doing right now, right? And I think if I were to die, like, obviously, if knowing the fact that you can die at any time will motivate you to do the things that are really important to you, because then there's no point if you don't know if I think that's cool. I don't think that's pessimistic at all. I think that's actually pretty optimistic, I would argue, because knowing that you're going to die at any time, you're going to be forced and be motivated to do the things that matter, because if you die tomorrow, you will know that at least for X number of years and in this amount of time, you have done something that matters to you, right? So I think that's fine.
yeah, of course, like you cannot pack like everything into one day. Imagine you like really died tomorrow, right? You want to like speak on stage, you want to like sell books or whatever it is. You cannot pack that into one day, but grasping just the concept of it, right, makes you like want to do things. Anyway, man, yeah, I think we're approaching the end here, and I would like to know, because you already said, with the shiny object syndrome and figuring out what happiness is to you. Now, we live in a society where we compare ourselves to each other. How do you actually stop comparing yourself to others?
I think it's knowing what you want. It always goes back to that. Is there's power in knowing what you want in your life and knowing your why. And I'm not saying knowing exactly, going back to when you mentioned, right, what Gary Vee says. I'm a fan of Gary Vee as well. I have his books. But you know pe- people say that they're trying stuff, but you have to know that, okay, for this X number of years I will try a bunch of stuff to find my the greater purpose, the greater calling. That's fine, but you need to have a why behind everything that you're doing. So there's a difference between not knowing what you want and just floating and doing whatever that comes your way, and there's a difference between, yep, I'm trying a bunch of stuff because I know that this will equip me with different skills and different viewpoints that will help me to uncover the purpose. You see, like you're doing the same things, but there's a different reasoning behind it. So yeah, it's knowing having a glimpse of what the end goal looks like, what will make you happy, and what does success look like, and then backtracking and having a why behind everything that you do. Every little thing that you do, I think that will help you with the shiny object syndrome. It'll help you with not comparing yourself with anybody else, right? And I think I mentioned this with you too. When you're in university and you see the people around you, they're having good jobs, they're having like something that are good for them, right? And when I didn't have a why, and when I didn't know what I wanted to do, I would be sort of comparing myself, like, oh, am I that stupid? Am I not worthy of a job like that? But now that I think about it, if someone has a full-time job at Facebook or Google, I would be good for you. I'm really happy for you. But if I were to trade places with you, I'm good. I'm really good. I'm really happy with where I am today, and I know what I'm doing. You see, there's a difference there, because you know exactly, and that goes back to the filters and things like that, right? When opportunities come, and when you see something dangling in front of you, you'll have these filters, and you'll know exactly why you wouldn't want something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh man, dude, I'm getting goosebumps, bro, just by you telling me this. Holy cow! Oh, woo. Okay, sorry, man. Continue.
Yeah, so it's really, yeah, it all goes back to knowing, having a glimpse of what you want, and really backtracking, and then you stop comparing yourself because suddenly it doesn't matter anymore. Because like this, for example, like this is the now I was just talking to a student of mine yesterday, and we are close to a fast food chain, right? Imagine you really, you know that a quarter pounder in McDonald's will make you really happy, will make you, like, that's all you want, a quarter pounder, right? But you see everyone around you getting a sausage egg McMuffin. Like if you like, you wouldn't end up just buying a sausage egg McMuffin too, right? Because that's not what you really want. But that's what happens, because when it's not clear that you want that quarter pounder and everybody around you is getting a sausage egg McMuffin, you getting that will not make you happy. But it's just the fact that everybody around you is, getting the same things, that you're like, oh, like that's what I want too. I don't know if that makes sense. It's probably a bad analogy, but
It makes sense, man. It totally makes sense.
yeah. So yeah, it really stems. It really goes back to knowing exactly what you want in your life, or having a glimpse. Yeah.
Totally, man. Totally. Knowing what you want, like exactly knowing what you want, and if you don't know, if for people who are watching and listening to this, if you really don't know what you want to do, having the why will really help you. Like
Yeah, having the why in everything that you do. Yes, exactly.
yeah. So yeah, you already talked about books, man. You talked about Think and Grow Rich and Start with Why. Is there like a favorite book concerning mindset that you have?
For sure. Right off the bat is The Go Giver. Have you heard of it?
Oh wow, I don't think so.
Oh wow, yeah, I got you there. I thought you read all the books. Yeah, it's called The Go Giver. Yeah, yeah. So it's super short. I think it's like yeah, it's like 100 pages. But it's just a story, right? It's not like a. I think about self-help books sometimes it's really dry, and it's like studying almost. But this one is just a story about changing mindsets, right? I think a lot of times when we, especially in business or in life, we're always about what can I get from you, what do I want, right? But this one sort of changed. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it changes your perspective on being a giver, being a giver in not just your time but in your knowledge and whatever you do, and just being a giver with no incentive behind anything, right? And I think that's probably one of my favorite books, and the books that really changed the way I do business, the way I build my relationships, because suddenly it's not about what I can get from you, it's about how much can I give. And yeah, so I think that mindset will bring you a lot of success, whether it's a business or anything. So yeah, check it out.
Add one thing to what you just said, and I know for sure that you're going to mean exactly what I'm about to say. The difference between giving and getting something good back, because I believe in karma, right? When you give something good, you will get something good back. It's just a matter of time, right? Time you can never say. Maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's in 1 year, 10 years, who knows. But here's the thing, what people do, they say, oh, okay, if I do something good, I will get something good back. The expectation, that is what actually makes the difference between that. When you give, for example, I don't think you're expecting something back. You're giving because you want to give and not expect something back, right? Some people give, but then they expect something back. Like, oh, I did this for you, so I expect you to do something for me, right? That is like the difference that I don't know if you agree with my point.
Sure, no, 100%. But also the sad thing is people know, especially people in business. People know that, oh, we have to give because that's how you build trust. That's how you get more sales, right? People know it, but as you mentioned, that there's that incentive now, right? It doesn't come from a good place anymore, which is kind of sad. So what the book really, like, there's two ways to take it, right? It's either you really want to give because you want to give, or you want something out of it. And the sad thing is, it's just a mindset of some people or some businesses where, yeah, we're giving, man, but there's always, oh, so I can get more sales, so I can get, you know what I mean? So It is what it is. It's just, I think, if you want to be a giver, really be a giver. If you don't, then don't, right? So yeah, it's just, yeah, you hit it. You're spot on.
Yeah, man. Sometimes it is like, easier said than done, because like you said, if you're in business and in order to get sales, you kind of have to build that rapport. It's like kind of like a mandatory thing already to do, right? To build that trust and stuff. But if everything really comes from your heart, right, it looks a bit differently. You approach things differently, and you won't get let's say disappointed because you're not expecting things, right? Everything is always easier said than done, but with practice everything can be achieved, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so before I ask you the last question, how can people connect with you further, bro?
Yeah, for sure. So if you search Apologue, so I know it's really hard to spell. I regret choosing your name every day. But pretty what Apologue means is a story with a moral behind it. It's not a word I made up. So if you search Apologue on YouTube, you should find my channel. So I hope you can stay connected, right? I post a video every single week about whether it's mindset, whether it's life in university, whether it's how you can better or just life stories, or of how knowing your purpose will help you in your life, or how to really take that first step and better identifying your purpose. So I upload videos every week on my YouTube channel. I have a website, apologue.net. I have a Facebook group, Instagram. Also, I'm launching a Facebook group too within the next few weeks. It's called the Side Hustle Intensive. So going back to how I mentioned that I think there's beauty in taking ownership of something, and there's beauty in entrepreneurship. And I think for me, on a personal level and what I've seen, you can really find and uncover your purpose through entrepreneurship and through turning your passions and taking that first step and really turning your passions into something that you can be proud of. So I'm starting a free Facebook group in a couple of weeks. So it'll be on the YouTube channel, and I'll be announcing it too. So yeah, so you can stay connected to me there. But YouTube is probably the best way to go if you want to see my face. But yeah.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Okay, so we're approaching the last question. As you know, my channel is all about mastering your mind to gain that self-confidence and self-esteem. So tell me, what was that one activity, one revelation that has helped you the most in regards to mastering your mind?
Can you guess what it is?
Um, Me? Should I guess what it is?
Yeah.
I guess like figuring out your why.
Nope. I think it's starting a business. I think mastering, yeah, I think, before anything, I love what you're doing with your channel. I really respect the hustle. You told me you've been at it for over a year. And, man, like, when you tell me you used to have low self-esteem, I don't see it. And I'm really proud to see, where you've come. And yeah, I feel like I've known you for a while now, man.
Yeah, dude, it's the Asian action. I always say it's the Asian action. It sounds it sounds like I don't know if it's not the right word. It's not racist, but just with Asians, it's just like, we're brothers, bro. We're cousins, man. Like, yeah. Okay. Anyway, continue, bro.
Yeah, mastermind is starting a business, man. Is when you're able to take an idea or something that you're passionate about and turn it into something real. Because at the end of the day, whether it's a great idea or a passion that you have, it's just in your head, it's just inside of you. But if you're able to extract it and take it out and turn it into something that you can show, man, like that is really mastering, what you believe in and what you're about. I think, yeah. So there's beauty in entrepreneurship. I think everyone should start a business. But obviously, nothing against a 9-to-5 job, but know that is what you really want. That's all. That's it, right?
Yeah. Awesome, bro. Awesome. Yeah, man, dude. I really appreciate you. I appreciate that you're giving me the time, giving us the time, and sharing with us your knowledge and wisdom. And I really appreciate the fact that you're doing what you're doing, your mission on this planet, right? Helping people find their passion and purpose. Back then, I think I needed you 4 years ago, man, where I was like, what should I do in my life? But yeah, this interview was awesome. And guys, for those of you who are watching and listening to this, I hope you enjoyed this as well. I will link James Lau in the description, so go check him out. Remember that you are freaking awesome and that you can do it if you put your mind to it. Winnie out. For now.